By God, I'm gonna start putting my foot down.
Do you?
I will rough talk them. Get.
I want you to put your hands together.
There goes to the neighborhood. There goes to the neighborhood.
And welcome him to the stage. Big round of applause.
There goes to the neighborhood.
We're struggling with the podcast because we don't have a specific topic, and we always said we didn't want to have a specific topic. We just sit down and have these conversations about various things.
Exactly.
But it's kind of the point of what I think we're going to talk about is you can't even really have an opinion on things.
No.
Anymore. Whether it's one of our podcast topics or something political or whatever it may be, there's just a whole movement where we're all putting all these arbitrary boxes and different teams, and you just have to defend that jersey for some reason. Like, you can't make an observation, you can't have an opinion or whatever without being labeled something or put in some box, and you have to worry about what you say. It's just it's bizarro world to me.
Sometimes you don't even get a chance to choose what side you're on.
No,
you're just that for
they
you.
They want to tell you what to think or whatever.
Like,
it's really odd. It's really insane. I never thought we would be to a point where a family member would hate you because you think different politically or whatever. I mean, even on our podcast, I don't mind hate comments. I think they're funny. I wanted to do a whole segment reading them actually.
Yeah, because we did the monkey man thing.
Yes, the monkey man.
Had a lot of fun with that.
Exactly, because we've always had the redneck thing, whatever you guys can't read, because we were in the Game of Thrones TV show. That's what we were known for back in the day, and that's over. So it was just the thing of I don't remember what I was going to say now.
You were just talking about hate comments, and that's how that started.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah,
we had fun with it,
right? We did, for example, a podcast on Bob Lazar, the UFO guy who supposedly worked at, near Area 51 and S4 and saw UFOs and worked on them and aliens and possibly, and we did that podcast, and half the people were like, "Yeah, I agree, he's full of shit." Or the other people didn't apparently even listen.
Right.
And again, I'm fine. That's fine. That's your opinion. But they obviously didn't hear what we said. And, we're idiots. We're dumbasses because because they would point out one little thing that we said. Yeah. Like the diploma. He didn't remember what year he graduated from MIT. And that was the only thing we remembered. The only thing we said. Okay, he's full of shit because he didn't remember the year he graduated. That's the only reason I don't believe him.
We've done 2 podcasts on him.
We did a follow-up.
And he's just an example. But you're right. I mean, and that's something I've noticed about our podcasts anyway, is a lot of people will you can tell they don't listen to the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of people like to see that we have dropped a new one, and they'll comment, awesome, I'm glad this is here. And then they're watching it later.
Sure.
But what bothers me is when people, we know we said something just 10 minutes into it, but there's a comment there where they're acting like we didn't say that very thing. And I'm like, you mean to tell me you clicked on this and are commenting something that we say 10 minutes in, and you're commenting like we haven't said it. So that just tells me you haven't listened to this.
Right, or you translated it. Or you
translated it wrong.
I think there's something now, especially along political lines, where somebody says something and there's a translator.
Yeah.
And whatever you said is they read what they want to read.
Right.
As opposed to what you actually stated.
No, I've had this happen to me recently.
Yes. James is canceled now. I guess because he made an observation. And that was what we were kind of wanting to talk about in general. This weird cancel culture where nobody's allowed to ever make a mistake in their past. I mean, look at Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart made a mistake 12 years ago and, didn't do the Oscars. He dropped out purposely because after he had apologized and all this kind of stuff, and it wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed because he's a horrible person now forever. Yeah. He can't change. He can't grow. That's what really aggravates me is you're in one breath you'll say everybody changes and everybody grows.
Right.
But when it's not you or somebody you're into at this moment.
Right.
Because, pretty much, I mean, Kevin Hart,
everybody likes him, or he wouldn't be as popular as he is.
Yeah, I
He's
believe
in
so.
every movie, you know.
Yes.
They like something he's done.
He's a
And-
hustler. He grinds. We've, watched him recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's been back, very recently. And
So,
it's
like,
just
what
insane.
he did in 9th grade doesn't bother me, man.
No,
I mean, I
not at
know
all.
that's an exaggeration, obviously.
Yeah, right.
I hate to have to put a disclaimer on everything I say.
That's part of this point of what we're talking about. You have to have a disclaimer.
but, right.
You can't. It's so odd to me. Me and you have had best friends have fights and arguments.
Yes,
but I would never
we
say
disagree on a lot of Bob Lazar shit.
Yeah,
on ghost shit.
But I would never say get the fuck out of here. Unfriend me on Facebook, and I'm not following you on Twitter. I blocked you on Twitter, by the way, James.
Right.
Because you believe in ghosts.
Exactly.
Those haints ain't real, so you're stupid.
And
You know what I'm saying?
Take the time to go behind my back and tell people not to like me because of that.
Yes, and we're going to dox you and your family, by the way.
That's so weird that people are like that. And,
I don't understand
family
it. And it's like
friends.
Yeah, there's no middle ground. There's no like, okay, I kind of understand what your point of view is, but here's my side of the argument anymore.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, whether it's politics or whatever, just a discussion or whatever, there's usually a goal where you're trying to get to the same place, and people would sit down across the aisle or table, figurative or literally, and we disagree, but how can we compromise in some way to get there to that same goal? Not now. Not now. First of all, the goals are different. And if there are a similar goal, the other person's just a fucking idiot. They're this, they're that. There's some kind of whatever. They're thrown in a box and wrong, period. And they can't be trusted. You can't listen to them. It's really just sad.
Yeah.
The state of things.
Well, I'll give a little context to the people who may not know, without even going into the real specifics.
Yeah.
Is all I did, honestly, is I put an observation post on my Facebook page, just saying, hey, something's odd to me, and honestly, it was about COVID-19. And think about how long we've been dealing with this.
Right.
This is my first post on it. My first one.
Right.
Because I
Been
didn't
going on
want to
since-
jump the gun and say this,
Yeah.
and because I'm superstitious.
Yeah,
That's another thing we differ
Yes.
on.
No, you're stupid for being superstitious.
So I wasn't going to jinx myself.
Block.
Knock on wood.
Right.
But honestly, I waited.
Yes.
I was like, there may be something here that I'm missing. Blah blah blah. And so I waited, like, whatever it's been. It's been over 2 months. The end of March or something, things changed where I work.
Right.
And I was like, hey man, based on what they're saying on the news, man, I'm not seeing it where I'm at. That's it. I mean, honestly, it was a long post, but I'm long-winded. So, but the gist of what I said was, hey, what I'm hearing and what my eyes are seeing don't match.
Right.
I didn't tell anybody how to think. I asked a few questions that
You didn't-
nobody in the comments answered any of my questions that
You
I
didn't
put in
call
there.
anybody wrong or
No.
stupid or any of that.
And then I wake up. I actually said in there, I know it's a real thing. I'm just saying what I hear and see don't match. I still hope none of us get it. Peace. That's how I ended it. And then I go to bed and I wake up. I sleep late as hell. So I woke up at 5 o'clock that day. And I'm telling you, man,
Right.
I thought I was going to be attending my funeral soon. And I also thought, I was like, I think I should delete this. I don't like seeing my friends argue.
Right.
And then as I kept reading down through there, I'm like, I don't know if any of these people read my post, because they're trying to tell me, James, it's real. It's real. I didn't say it wasn't real.
You never said that at all. That's what I mean about the translators.
I promise I never said that.
Those people that started jumping your shit for a simple observation obviously did not read through your wording.
And
it got translated to COVID's fake. I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
That's what they read.
And so I caught myself. I mean, because there's people who were like, I could see them arguing with each other. They weren't necessarily everybody coming at me. I could see the venom at each other. And so then I did make a comment. It was I just woke up, man, and saw all this shit.
Yes.
And so I comment because I care about every one of these people I see in there arguing. I care about all of them. And so, you know, I'm none of them's dad. So I'm not going to get on there and say, you know, shut up, you know,
Right.
or anything.
Right.
So I try to be witty or I try to be this or that to cool things down. But I am aggravated at the same time. And
Sure.
I have a right to be, you know, to wake up to something that I thought might stir up some creative conversations with people, didn't. And honestly, I get it. I do. I get it that we're all fucking frustrated right now. The world is divided.
Yes.
It's not perfectly divided in two groups. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's just we're all splitting up. Family units are splitting up and choosing sides, and then all of a sudden, once you think you're on a side, the goal moves and you're not on that
That's
side
right.
anymore.
That's
And
right. Exactly. I was going to say the goalpost moves even
Yeah.
on sides on
So-
whatever jersey you're supposed to be wearing.
So then that side gets split again, and then you're like, well, which side of this side do I need to be on? And and it's confusing.
And so you
And
have
at the
all
same
these
time-
different little factions
Yeah, if
on the
you're
two
a-
big teams.
And if you're a loving person, you don't want everything split up. You like inclusiveness and not divisiveness.
Right. Well, and that's what most people are preaching, but they don't. The diversity, inclusiveness, and all that, which is great, but that includes thought,
Yeah,
and that's what the problem I see.
because obviously, if you look at say my group of friends in real life and on Facebook, is very diverse, and I appreciate the diverse. I learn a lot by just lurking on Facebook and reading other people, and you kind of get a feel for people and an appreciation, and you watch them go through things, cancers, their parents die, and you know they get kicked out of their house, and you get to watch all this stuff and learn to appreciate these people because they've dealt with shit. And then all of a sudden something out there in the world happens that causes people to pick sides. And these people you appreciate so much for different reasons are all hating each other. And it's just got ugly, man.
Yeah, and it's not the old, you know, like I said, the classical, okay, what just a debate or I don't agree, here's why. It's just automatic hate. Like we can't be friends anymore level hate.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
And then to be right, I'm going to do all this other stuff to just make sure I'm right in some way and throw out all this nonsense.
And I'll say this too, is like, you know, I made a couple comments on there. People came at me sideways, and you know, not any. I had one person DM me
Right.
and say, "Hey, man, I kind of see what you were saying," but you know, the people who I thought would do that,
Right.
you know, even
Yeah.
if they didn't agree with me, you think if we're really friends, you would reach out to me and say, "Hey, man, I see what you're kind of saying, but this is where I think you're off." Nah, they want to do it in public. They want to publicly
Exactly.
try to chastise you
Yes.
or humiliate
Teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
Bring you to the right way of thinking.
Let me
the
show
right
you in
side.
front of your family and friends how wrong you are.
Right.
Like,
right.
what good is that?
With completely invalid.
How do you think I'll respond
with
to that?
completely invalid points, by the way, from what your post actually said in that
Yeah.
case.
And it lets you know how little people really either they know you
Yes.
or how little your relationship means to them and that you thought meant a lot. Because I honestly, man, I would if I thought somebody was way off base, I wouldn't publicly humiliate them. I would reach out to them privately and say, "Hey, man, let me try to help reel you in a little bit." My real friends do that.
Right.
I just be
Yeah.
honest with you. And so my thing is this, man. I don't like living in a world where I'm afraid to think out loud.
That's what it boils down to. And you know, we've had this discussion several times about YouTube and the podcast and everything else we talk about behind the scenes, because we started this because we thought that our conversations about anything and everything would be entertaining to some people.
Yeah.
And we get great feedback on most of our podcasts is 99.9% great. But we always have that little thing in the back of our heads, or we'll say before we actually hit record, even though we've always made this raw and uncut, the only thing we have to do since we've added video is spliced together where we have to stop the damn camera after 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So this has always been raw and uncut, but we always have to worry about can we joke about that? Can we make a joke about this?
I know.
Can we say this and offend one group? Because on one hand, there's a business side of things, and you'll get canceled if you don't have the same opinions as other people. And on the other hand, it's just, the YouTube itself, the platform, for example, just using that as my example in my world, or in our world now with the podcast is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had podcasts that we've discussed true crime, right? We watch these documentaries on Netflix or Amazon or whatever it is. We specifically did Abducted in Plain Sight. We've talked about several of these true crime podcasts, and just because we're mentioning the words in there that are associated with some of these crimes, we get demonetized. And it's literally talking about an event.
The one where the girl told the guy to sit in his truck and go to sleep.
Yeah, that stuff.
I love you now, die, or whatever.
I love you now, DIE. We can't even say that word.
See,
and I put that in the title, and I saw some other ones later on where they would put like D, asterisk E in the title, just because of the word. And you're literally talking about a show, just like we talked about Game of Thrones. It's just a different type of show. We're talking about a true crime event that happened, and they put a documentary out. We're discussing, giving our opinions on it.
yeah,
And it's demonetized because it might offend somebody. I mean, that's fine. YouTube is a private company, and that's their right to do so, but it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you can't have a conversation about a true event or a fictitious event with the wrong content.
right.
As far as like the topic.
It's scary.
So we can talk about Bigfoot all day. It's not demonetized, but we can't talk about a true crime event that happened and they covered it in a documentary because we're saying some of those words. And you know what words I'm talking about, that where, something happens to, let's say, a young girl, and you say that word, and you're gone. You're done. And then you hit, like, you get the yellow thing, and then you hit submit to have it reviewed manually. And they're not listening to an hour and a half podcast.
No.
There's not a person sitting there listening to that. And just because of the title or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you upload, just for anybody that's curious, when you upload a video to YouTube, they transcribe it so they know what it's about, whether you title it that way or not.
So the transcription is hitting these keywords.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, when I started my little side thing on how to grow on YouTube and how to grow on Twitch, how to start a podcast on this little channel I had on the side that I was working on occasionally, still am occasionally, I'll repeat those keywords in the video itself. So when it's transcribed, that metadata gets added to it, and it doesn't matter what I title it. I can change the title a little bit or repeat that or whatever to get it ranked higher. So just the opposite of that is the things you say can get you demonetized regardless of the title and tags and all that bullshit. So it goes into all this stuff, social media, and this is it's just insane to me that you can't have, you can't talk about these things. Like, I mean, I get, like, for example, I get kids, right? I get protecting kids from things like that. But YouTube has a policy. You can't be. You have to be over 13.
That's what I thought.
And they have YouTube Kids specifically for that. So I'm not responsible for how they distribute it.
Right.
Because anybody can lie and watch it if they're young, but they're not going to be watching stuff like that. That's not even going to interest them.
I agree. I can't see two kids.
So,
I mean, kids watching two dudes like us talk about a topic
we're not
like
connected
that.
with some young people out there as far as anything we talk about. But the point being that in every single way you can imagine, it's been this way for a long time now, and you have to essentially bite your tongue. I've always tried to be completely real and honest and be me, myself, and whether it's a one-off video on my own or a podcast with you, but we always have this in the back of our heads every single week.
Yeah.
And we have for the most part, it's fine because hey, have you seen this or whatever? And we'll both watch. Oh shit, we got to go talk about that. And it's not a problem, except in the back of your head, it's like, well, shit, we talked about a crime.
Yeah. And
so we just recorded for 2 hours, and then I did all this editing or whatever, putting everything together, getting it uploaded to all these places, and we make $2 or less or nothing.
Or nothing. That's right.
Except for thank you Patreons, because that's how we get supported now in this day and age. You cannot make money on YouTube. I mean, you can if you have the right opinion, or are you talking about the right stuff?
And that's the thing. I get that we, as much as we may not think, that we have a big voice, right?
Yeah.
I get that we are somehow viewed as maybe a potential influencer, right?
Sure.
And it has to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what level that is.
So I think they're
But
trying to pop our hand in the beginning before we grow. But I wish,
But there's double standards.
even
too.
I agree,
There's
but
double
if
standards.
let's say that they are not double standards and they're just trying to say, hey, we don't like that language, I do think context matters.
It absolutely matters. That was
mean,
my point on. I kind of went on a rant there, but that was kind of my point on specifically the true crime stuff.
Yeah,
We're talking about
we
a
might be saying
documentary.
words, yeah,
Yes.
but listen to what we're saying, or not, but let people that want to,
Right.
the people who have clicked and said, hey, I know these guys, I want to hear them talk about that thing, let them hear it, and not just because demonetizing is just the first step to shutting the whole shit down. That's really all it is.
And that's what's going on.
This is your warning. We're going to take money away, so we hope to encourage you not to talk like that in the future.
Exactly.
And then if you keep talking like that, the punishment will get more severe.
Yeah, and eventually, you can be reported by somebody that don't like what you said, and then
Yeah.
that could lead to a channel strike, and you get 3 and you're gone. And that's why everything's moved towards crowdfunding, and it's so hard with that because people are hurting right now, and I completely get that.
That's
And,
right.
I saw an instance. I know because I follow a little bit of like YouTube drama and Twitch drama sometimes because I just see these random stuff pop up my feed, and I'll go in these rabbit holes. And people now will go after a sponsor.
I know.
If you have a sponsor that, I don't know, the CEO, for example, said something stupid 10 years ago, they'll go after the sponsor that creator depends on because they're not getting paid in AdSense money, and they want them to stop sponsoring that YouTuber because maybe, or whatever, or maybe the YouTuber or creator or whatever platform you're talking about said something questionable or made a joke that wasn't, whatever. And then they go after the sponsor. Hey, they said this is horrible. If you continue to sponsor them, we're going to not support you, the business.
Right.
And all you're doing is you're not only hurting the creator themselves, and you're hurting everybody that works at that company.
Yeah.
Every single person. Because the CEO doesn't reflect what everybody that works there thinks or says or feels. They have families too. They work there, they get paid.
Yeah.
They take that money home and feed their families.
Some of them have like kids that need medicines and, and all of a
so
sudden they're losing their insurance.
It sounds good. Like, for example, if you have a sponsor or a big company and some asshole CEO says something horrible, I completely get the sentiment, but you're not thinking it through.
Right.
Is what I'm saying in those cases. Now, it needs to be something really, really horrible to go that deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which I think everybody would agree with.
Right. And the thing that I believe in is like you have a right to say, hey, I'm not doing business with them anymore. And if enough people don't do business with them, they'll have to change their ways or do something else. I get that. That's the damn free market.
That's the free market. That's the beauty of a free market.
I love that.
That will decide. Yeah.
Because then, if you're behind this counter, you're trying to sell, your widgets and you're an asshole.
That's right.
And word spreads, you don't deserve it.
And somebody can open up the widget shop right next door and say,
hey,
we got these too.
Well, yeah.
And we're going to treat you nice. We're going to have good customer service, blah, blah, blah. And that company goes away.
I get it.
This guy thrives.
And so, honestly, man, my thing is if people only knew how much I beat myself up. By thinking and overthinking and it's not like I just like, I'm constantly ranting on things. I really think things through.
You try to.
And I honestly thought what I said on my own Facebook page was harmless because I understand how sensitive everything is right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to damn throw a hand grenade in the middle of it.
Right, and it was, you didn't direct anybody to do anything. You didn't say, every response to that was completely invalid to what you said. Period.
Well, there were some responses where people were like, "Yeah, James, you tell them," and I wasn't looking for that either.
Right,
I
exactly. You
literally
didn't
was-
tell anybody to think
No,
your way.
I
or
was
whatever.
just saying,
You know
hey,
what I mean?
you know, this is what I've noticed, and
the thing is,
hoping somebody would say, you know, I've been thinking that too, man, and or show me a link or something to something that would maybe,
Yeah,
you know,
'cause that's the
enlighten
thing.
me.
That's the thing. You waited in that particular topic. And we're just using that as an example.
Right. It's just an
But
example.
you waited a long, long time after, because we know people, a lot of people in the medical field.
Yes.
So it was not some unfounded, just, you know, you had a thought at 3 a.m. type of thing and decided to type
Right.
it up. This is after a long time of hearing from real people,
Right.
talking to real people, asking questions
Yeah.
from real people too, almost trying to confirm why ain't things matching up with what I see.
Yeah.
But you still didn't say anything in the post as far as, you know, it's all bullshit or do this, you shouldn't do that. You
No.
never directed anybody to do anything. That could be considered harmful, I guess, in some way.
I agree.
But it's not what you said at all. And so
No,
it's just
And
it's
so
it's the culture right now.
yeah, it really is the culture, and to think that it's already bad enough, like you said, with people being out of work and stuff, that people are still trying to shut people down in the midst of all this. Because my thing has always been, you know, that I love people and I care about lives, and I understand how people are worried about COVID. Just to touch on this for a second. I get that they don't want their grandmother to get it and die. I get that they may have a condition that would make it really rough on them, even if they're young.
absolutely.
Even if they're young, it could be bad. I get that, dude. And so I'm not saying that I don't care about that. But what I worry about also, at the same time as I worry about those people, at the same time, I worry about the small business owner who has to lay off all of his help. And then he goes home, he's stuck at home with his wife and kids. And I'm saying he because I'm a he. I know small business owners can be women
yes,
too.
that's-
I got to make a disclaimer about that. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of the point right there.
Right.
Exactly.
And so my point is, dude, they're going to, at some point, when they have maxed out all lines of credit and the government's not sending any more relief, then there's going to be a divorce happen, because there's going to be arguments and disagreements on which bill to pay and which one not to pay, and which, you know, you can't go to college
what's
now.
more important
We had to take
here?
your
Yeah,
college
exactly.
fund so we can live. So I'm sorry about that. Now the kid, you know, is all upset. And all I'm saying is I care about the lives, because that can cause alcoholism, can cause substance abuse, it can cause suicide, it can cause down the road, those people who get on substances to just kind of escape from all this bull crap,
Right.
and all this horribleness, accidental overdoses. I care about those lives too. And that's all a result of the snowball of shutting down this economy.
Right. Yes.
And that's happening all over the world. So it's not just, hey, Granny and Pawpaw might get it.
Yeah. Right.
It's literally killing people in other ways.
Right. That it's not, everything is not that black and white.
Because some people are going to run out of money, and I hate to say it, but some people are going to try to steal, and they're going to try to steal from the wrong person, and they're going to lose their life. Or they're going to take somebody's life so they can steal. Either way, I'm just saying there's lives lost that don't mean you got sick
Yes.
from the virus.
Right.
And I think that gets overlooked, man. Or if it's not overlooked, then don't act like you care about lives.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
if you've already taken that into consideration and you're still saying shut everything down with no exceptions, then you really don't care about.
No, because that's a legitimate concern. Well, because I think most people care about mental health. That's a big topic these days, obviously in the modern world and social media. Why is that not considered?
Right.
I mean, that's part of this whole thing.
And give me just 1 second, because you can back me up on this. The reason that my head goes that direction, and he can tell you, there's a lot of you that did not know me before I hooked up with Chris and started getting on YouTube. But before you met me, I was married for 20 years, had 2 kids, and not saying I'm a victim of anything, but I lost everything. I lost
Yes.
my family, my house, my pets, my job,
Business.
everything, my business. Excuse me, I had a thriving business. And I'm not saying that I didn't play a role in losing it. But what I'm saying is when I was down at my lowest, I know that if I didn't have kids, that's what kept me from going too deep into the I'm just going to check out and try
Right,
my
right.
best, my luck in the next life. I honestly, man, so I know that there are people who may not stop themselves.
Right.
This man reached out to me. My family members, nobody offered me a couch. Nobody offered me an extra room. He's like, hey, come sleep on my couch. About 2 weeks into that, he's like, hey, I cleaned out my office. That's your bedroom now. I had nothing. I stayed in my truck for my car for about a week, even after he offered me his couch, because I felt guilty, mooching off of him. And then finally, we had a lot of heart-to-heart talks back then. But what I'm saying is I know what it's like to lose everything, and I'm watching across our country people lose everything.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it's the darkest place anybody can ever go when they don't feel like they have anywhere to go and reach out.
Yep.
It gets dark.
all that hard work, and you just watch it burn.
Yeah.
And I know that on a much smaller scale with this whole, like we're talking about the YouTube thing, I've seen it blow up and grow, and I'm all excited and happy about it, and I think I'm doing well, and all of a sudden there's some switch flipped and everything's dead, and so it's a rebuilding process. So this move for me was much more than just a physical move. It's a metaphorical and real move in the sense of me resetting my life.
That's right.
And I'm not sitting here trying to say, "Oh, woe me,"
No.
because it doesn't compare
But
to
no.
what you literally lost and all that stuff. I'm just saying that type of attitude when you get to that type of space or place in your head, it's not fun, and it's real, and people are not acknowledging that kind of stuff. The side effects of these unintended consequences of shutting down the whole economy based off a virus.
Yeah, for this long and no end in sight. And then, we'll let it open up a little bit. Whoops, no, we're not. Psych. It's just bull crap, dude. I mean, I get it, and I'm not here to preach. I have ideas. Obviously, we all do. But as soon as we start saying them, then we're going to be wrong. I don't want to get into that.
Right.
But I'm just saying that's where my head's at. And I've been afraid to say that to this camera. I've been afraid to speak about COVID on my own Facebook page.
Right.
And I've been afraid to speak about anything going on in the world to this camera. And then I did make just an observational post on my Facebook, and that's why we're here now. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's not why we're here now, but it kind of went along with what we'd already been talking
Yeah,
about.
just the general idea of you can't this mob mentality.
Mob mentality, yeah.
The mob mentality. That's why we are not a democracy. I hate when people say we're a democracy. No, we're not. If we were a democracy, a mob can come along and say, hey, all 10 of us think that we should have your bike, Billy.
Yep.
And Billy loses his bike. That's why we have a republic. Just this overarching idea that, in these modern times that everything's so black and white, you're on this team or you're on this team or all these other teams. Hey, by the way, if you're on team A, this other team's, they're bad. There's no nuance to anything.
No.
And in real life, there's nuance to things, period.
I remember when we were young, we both talked about it, how much more liberal we were when we were young. And older people be like, I'm telling you right now, if you start giving up freedoms, it's going to just snowball.
The slippery
And
slope.
I never dreamed, man, that all of a sudden,
Yeah.
in this country, you can't, free speech ain't free anymore.
That's right.
You can't, unless it's popular speech, it ain't free. I'd like to ask you a question about another kind of
All right.
kind of a hot topic right now.
Yeah, this
And I know you're just going to give me your opinion, okay? We're not telling you how to think.
Right.
I'm literally asking
Right.
this man. He's not going to shove this down your throat.
right.
All
Yes,
right.
I am. By God, I'm gonna start putting my foot down.
Do you?
I will rough talk them. Get. Sorry.
And then he walked
You'll
right
get-
yonder up through them trees.
Watch the Bigfoot episode for that reference.
Oh my! I've been thinking about this thing. I don't watch much cartoons anymore.
No.
But I've heard the news that
Yes.
Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam lost their guns.
Yes, apparently.
My question to you is this: if
And replaced them with scythes, right?
I heard Elmer Fudd's going to have a
I mean,
scythe.
you're talking about
I
the bringer of death sickle.
Yes, that's right.
It's what it
That's
is.
exactly right. You've turned him from a hunter into the Grim Reaper. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly.
But
From
Oh my
whom the
gosh.
bell tolls.
time marches on.
Oh shit! Sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm hunting rabbits.
Not anymore. He's not hunting. He slaughtered them, or
So-
trying to.
Are we saying that because people our age and our parents and stuff would say, we watched it and he had guns and we didn't turn out bad?
Yeah.
So are people saying, yes, you did turn out bad? Or are they saying the kids that are watching them now aren't as strong mentally as you were? They can't differentiate.
Yeah,
Like,
the
they're-
whole,
I
the whole
don't
it
get
goes
it.
back to the video game argument. You know that they desensitize you to violence. That's a complete crock of shit, in my opinion. Because what I've read about it and seen it. Because, for an example, there was a kid. This is a real thing that happened. Parents were worried about their kid playing Call of Duty, and you're talking about a 10-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, whatever. I can't remember exactly, but something in that age range. And this has been a few years ago, so. Played it all the time, and they were worried about is it desensitized? Is it making him violent or something? He didn't show any signs of it. They were just worried about it. So they got a real instructor who was in the military to take him out to a gun range at like 12 years old or whatever he was. I think it's about 12, and shoot a real AR.
Right.
The boy cried and ran back to his mama. He was too young.
Yeah,
Scared the shit out of him.
exactly.
And there's been so many, I'm not getting into all that stuff, but it's the same point with Elmer Fudd. You're taking away a gun because a gun is somehow now, it's a tool, it's an evil thing that thinks on its own and looks really scary, apparently.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard they weren't getting rid of like TNT and stuff like that.
yeah.
and so that's crazy
I
to think
guess,
about.
because those are not used in terrorist attacks ever.
Right? I don't understand that.
I mean,
so
so
they can still like get the Acme rockets.
they can get the Acme rockets and the explosives, and you can cut things with swords and sickles and scythes.
Yeah,
But you can't shoot it at the wabbit no more.
I don't understand that, man. I just it's a weird thing there, man. You're nerfing every corner in the whole world.
Yes,
And
this
child-proofing the world.
Yes, it's this. Yes, we're all getting participation trophies.
Yeah, and
And nobody's going to ever learn any. Nobody's ever going to. We want to get to a point, man, where nobody ever feels any pain anymore. We never get disappointed, so we never grow. That's what That's the unintended consequences of what I'm assuming somewhere started as an idea that they thought would actually make it some kind of difference. This is the kind of thinking that this leads to. So we're destroying classic characters and taking away their cartoon fake guns now. So some kid doesn't grow up to be a psychopath, apparently.
It's really so parents don't have to parent.
Right. Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
They're going to start taking caustic chemicals out of cleaning agents. You know what I'm saying? Because parents can't stop their kids from getting under the cabinet and drinking Clorox or something. I don't.
Or eating Tide Pods.
Yeah, I don't like the parents can tell the kids if they think their kid needs to be told.
Right.
He's really not. He's a cartoon. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Bugs is not going to
When-
die.
when
He's
you
going
see-
to miss him every time.
every time. I mean, he's never. Wile E. Coyote's never going to catch the Roadrunner, and if
Right.
he does, he's not going to know what to do.
Yes, it's like
It's just when you think about that and you start really thinking about it instead of just on the surface, like, well, it'd be, I guess people are thinking that it's a good idea not to have some famous cartoon character running around with a gun shooting people or rabbits in this case. But when you start really thinking about it, what you're talking about, it's really ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous. You're saying it's okay to see him chase a guy trying to swing some sharp bladed razor blade at him on a stick, but not shoot at him with a cartoon shotgun.
This is a slippery slope again.
It is, because everything's being taken away.
They're going to take away high-speed chases because nobody can speed. I know that sounds ridiculous now. Trust me.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to
end up happening. I would have never dreamed they would take Elmer Fudd's shotgun.
No. This is where we're at. This is the clown world.
You have to wonder where it goes from here. Like, there are kids who really see horrible violence with guns. My uncle saw his dad shoot his mom in the back and die in their kitchen. He did not grow up, and I'm not saying it didn't affect him. I'm just saying he literally saw it. The worst you could ever see.
Yeah, exactly.
Heard his mom's last breath from a gun wound to her back. And you want to tell me that Elmer Fudd shooting at a cartoon rabbit that's walking on his hind legs and talking, that's not bad enough?
I don't. I mean, it's really just...
Kids are resilient and smarter than people give them credit for.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody, yes, there are exceptions to every rule.
There are.
I mean, come on. We got it. Disclaimer alert.
That's right. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, come on. Nobody has ever watched a cartoon, Looney Tunes cartoon, and laughed at it and all that, and that translated over into the real world. It would be funny if I don't know, hit Billy with this big sharp razor blade and see what happened. No, that doesn't happen. It's never happened. I don't think so,
dude.
Except in a Michael Myers movie,
right?
I mean, where you saw him grow up, but it wasn't cartoons. He was just psycho. I mean, it's the evil incarnate.
I feel bad. I really feel bad. This like intellectual policing. Like,
yes,
I know what's better for you
than you do.
Yes,
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Because I hate like that kids getting out in the yard and playing, with guns, the fake army guns. It used to kind of be a cool thing to want to be an army soldier or something.
Yeah,
you have G.I. Joe on TV.
Yes,
and then you go outside and you play G.I. Joe and Cobra. Right.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. When you start thinking about that, you follow that logic to where it logically would have to end. We can't ever see Star Wars movies.
Right.
We can't ever have any entertainment as far as video games or movies or TV shows that show any violence
at all.
Ever. We can't watch Game of Thrones type shows, medieval, because they're swinging swords at each other and stabbing each other with pointy things. I mean, where does it stop?
Dude, my mom wouldn't let me play Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid.
Because it was going to lead you to the devil.
At the time, it was leading kids to the devil. Like she heard on the news that it was leading kids to the devil.
You play Ozzy Osbourne records backwards, and it tells you to go worship Satan.
And dude, Dungeons and Dragons, boy, she really gypped me, man. I could have had a lot of fun with that when I was young.
Yes.
Because it's fun to play as an adult. And her boyfriend at the time, he played. And can you imagine being in 6th grade and your mom's boyfriend has all this stuff spread out on your kitchen table?
Right, and you can't take part in it.
You can't take... It's the coolest looking stuff I had ever seen in my life at the time.
And she didn't think, well, he's okay.
Right. What did she think of me, man? It's like...
I mean,
I'll be in the...
There's really, I'm really...
pentagrams in the bedroom floor.
I'm really just dumbfounded by some of this, honestly.
I know.
It's just...
I don't know, man. It's getting scary.
It's getting stupid.
It's really, really crazy to think about.
And
when you hear podcasts where comedians are scared to tell jokes...
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Comedy. I thought comedians got a free pass. I mean, they're telling jokes.
Yeah, they're supposed. And some are protected still, but there are a lot of comedians who have voiced obviously concerns. We talked about some of the other ones. Jamie Foxx had talked about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. Chris Rock, Kevin Hart. They've all had these issues or whatever. And look, we grew up watching the Jeffersons Archie Bunker.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you name all those shows,
they were.
but it was funny, and everybody watched them and laughed at them.
Yeah,
and it was
Benson. I mean, it had a lot of like adult racial stuff that I would
Yes.
hear my parents laughing about, and they would explain it to me. You know, it's crazy to think about, man, how somebody knows better than us.
And I understand, yes, every kid doesn't have two parents,
No,
or
no.
The broken homes is the source of most of the problems in a modern society, period.
Yeah, race is out the window on that.
Exactly.
Broken homes.
That's the source of most issues.
If you want to really handicap a kid's chances of succeeding,
That's right,
yeah,
Period.
break up the home.
period.
That'll do it every time. I'll tell you, man, when I remember being, I think Eddie Murphy, Delirious, the first one in the
Yes.
red leather, came out about 83. Okay, so I was like 10. But me and my friends, man, would listen to him cuss. We would listen to him
Yes.
talk about Ralph Cramden getting drilled by Ed Norton, his friend.
Yeah.
You know, humana, 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 humana. I mean, he put these visions in our about Mr. T. Hey, boy,
Norton.
looking mighty cute in them jeans. You know, and Mr. T was one of my heroes, and I thought that was funny as hell.
Exactly. Norton, you know that I know that you know that I've been watching you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now I'm gonna bend over, and when I do,
yeah, exactly.
Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
dude, I'm telling you, man, and like Andrew Dice Clay, I used to listen to him
Yes,
talk about
yes.
women doing things to him while he's standing in line at the bank. And never in my life did I think, you know, one day I'm going to do something to a woman in line at the bank. I knew it was a joke. I don't care if I was 17,
Exactly.
18 years old.
Nah, man, you laughed at it 17 years ago. You're canceled.
Yeah, I love women. Andrew Dice Clay did not cause me to degrade women. It was jokes. And
Right.
comedians should be able to tell jokes.
Like any kind of meme or joke or, I mean, we laugh at the redneck shit all the time because there's truth in there. That's what makes shit funny. Hell, Eddie Murphy may not even come back now. So he's got to sit there and, well, shit. Well, I might say it's a joke and get canceled. Netflix might drop me.
So my thing, if I want to touch back on like kind of where my head was at about that Facebook post, is really what I was trying to say was, hey guys, you know, what I'm hearing doesn't reflect what I'm seeing.
Right. And not only just hearing, but from actual people in the industry. Like we said, we mentioned nurses and
yeah,
PAs and stuff we know laid off, and it wasn't just because of the damn services being put off, the non-essential services and surgeries. That does not explain what we're talking about.
right.
It's just not common sense. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just trying to say, you know, I was just trying to touch on not believing everything you hear right away.
Yes.
Like at least take time to evaluate things. Don't always take what you hear on the news as a fact.
No, because this is not the old news back in the you know, I don't know, I would say up until the 80s or maybe into the 90s.
Yeah.
There's an agenda there, and they don't care about anything but ratings. They want to have the first to have the story, so they get the credit for the break-in part of the news and whatever, and exclusive type shit, all that rating bullshit.
Yeah.
What I've always said is, and I mentioned this to you when we were talking about the Post thing, people watch, I don't know, pick one, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. They watch Fox News, MSNBC, and all these mainstream things, right? And they just look at look at the horror, because it's all horror, every bit of it. It's worse than fucking literally running from Jason Voorhees in the woods. That's how bad they report it.
Yeah.
But their own little world in town or whatever is, you know, they're going out. They go out to work or they go to a restaurant now.
Yeah.
Well, if it's
Walk
open,
their dogs.
they walk their dogs. They talk to their neighbors, all that good stuff. And in somewhere in the back of your head, you have to be thinking, well, I mean, I guess it's pretty bad. I don't know, in the big cities or
Yeah.
whatever, or maybe across town. Maybe the next county's got it bad, but you know,
Exactly.
everything's pretty good here. But CNN says people are dying in the streets.
I know.
I
Yep.
mean, and
They're saying all the hospitals are overrun, understaffed, and the death
but
toll is
everybody that
ridiculous.
goes to their own hospital, there's nobody in the emergency room. There's no lines. There's no
Right.
testing. The tents are empty. And in the COVID case,
Yeah.
and
Then I can ride by every cemetery here. You think I'd see 20 tents a day up? It's business as usual.
it's just business as usual, and that's
Unless they're all getting cremated. I know somebody will
right.
say that, but
I'm sure you're right.
I mean, come on now.
But the point being is that people just listen to that, and what's sad about it is these young people get all their news on fucking Instagram, and anything on it's like the old bullshit argument, appeal to authority. You see it on something with a blue check mark, and all of a sudden it's fact, and that's complete bullshit. So compare it to your reality. There's one reality, but your particular situation, compare it and start thinking about it before you just throw the bullshit out there and continue spreading lies.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And what you're saying, what you said reminded me of something else. You said just because they have a logo, don't give them more,
credibility.
Credit. That's the way I feel about like college degrees. I'll take a college degree, honest to God. If I'm saying it the way I feel, if I'm an employer and I'm interviewing somebody and they have a ton of degrees, right? First off, I'm going to say, well, they haven't been in the workforce. A college degree says you're good at memorizing shit.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you show up every day on time, because honestly, you don't have to show up, and your assignments could be turned in at the very last second.
Right.
That doesn't help an employer.
No.
I'll take on-the-job training
Every time.
over
Every time.
degrees.
And that's another big lie that's been put on this generation too, is, you have to go to school, you have to graduate high school with a 4.0 and go to a college and get a degree. And the degrees are basically useless, except for obviously specialized medical stuff or engineering.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not talking about everything.
No.
But
if you already got your field lined up and everything.
And they took away all the vocational stuff.
Yeah.
Like in our town, when we were in school, you had shop, you had automotive class. You could go in there and literally work on real cars in the garage, and you could go out, leave high school, and be a certified mechanic.
Yes.
And you cannot, because for some reason, being a mechanic, a welder, a plumber, any kind of trade job somehow became looked down upon.
Right. I guess I need to clarify that. Like let's say you get a teaching degree and you apply to be a teacher. Yes, I take that into consideration. But I'm saying if I'm running a restaurant and you show up with this, bachelor's degree in,
Basket weaving.
Yeah, business administration or whatever. That's different. If you have a specialized degree and you're already lined up to go in that specialized field, that means something there.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, as a normal everyday employer, people put too much credit.
Yes.
I think you on the job training and military.
Yeah.
You can hire those people
because these
and
kids
have an expectation.
they're coming out of college with their little degrees, and that mean I'm not saying it's not hard work or any of that stuff as far as going through and doing it. It's not about that. It's about when you come out, now you're $100,000 in debt, and you're paying debt off till you're 40 years old.
Right.
And so what do you need? What are you getting a job for? To pay debt back?
Yeah.
When you could have just came out and maybe you just started working somewhere, earn some money, save some money. Maybe you learn some things, learn some skills, start a business. You don't have to have a college degree to start a business.
I can see the comments now.
Start a podcast.
James and Chris are anti-education.
Man,
I'm not that. I'm not that at all. I'm just saying.
No, I think education is the key to everything. What I'm saying is that college education is not.
Yeah, right. So
Education is education. But
you're,
it's like somehow if you go to a college because it's accredited by some state somewhere, it's better education than being on the job, like you said, on the job training for some reason.
Yeah, like I believe right now, if my kids heard me get into an argument with a 22-year-old who just got out of college with a bachelor's degree, and now I am over twice as old as this person.
Right.
I think my kids would believe that person, they would believe them more because they have a degree. If they knew they had a degree,
yes.
you know what I mean, as a setup,
yeah.
they knew we're arguing about some, you know what I mean? Anything about life.
Well, Dad didn't finish college.
Dad didn't
and
finish.
This person's
got this degree. They got to be smarter than my
They
dad.
got a bachelor's degree or even a.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Life experience. Every gray hair is earned.
That's right.
And
If
every
you got
wrinkle,
gray, you earned it.
every wrinkle and every gray hair is earned, and the youth of America is consumed in, like you said, logos and degrees, and that's what they buy into.
Yeah, because society in general is doing them a huge disservice by saying this is how you succeed. It is not necessarily. There's nothing wrong with that at all. If you choose to go to school for a particular thing, go for it. We're not saying
Right.
that at all. I'm saying that it's not absolutely necessary. That is not the path to success.
No, it's not
Period.
necessary.
It's not necessary.
And they're getting watered down. Like back in the day, the college degrees really did mean a lot. But I don't even know if you went there. Like if I'm needing you to show up at 8 a.m. to work this job every
Right.
day, I can't look at your degree and say this person's reliable.
That's right.
Because you could got that
it
damn Phoenix online
That's
degree.
right. It
I don't know
doesn't-
if you've ever left your house.
That's right. Exactly.
I don't know if you know what an alarm clock is.
That's right.
That's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, 'cause
once
you
you
know,
earn it,
because you
hey,
get a
hang it on the
degree,
wall. It's awesome.
It's like to get into college, you got to go through high school, and if you, depending on the school you're trying to get into, if it's whatever, you have to have a high GPA and all that stuff. That takes some work, right, and effort. But in college, to get that degree, you can get degrees on D's.
Absolutely.
You get the same degree as the person who's the fucking
Yeah,
you know,
the number one in your class.
the number one in your class that's got a 4.0 grade point average, and the valedictorian or whatever is the same degree.
Same one.
But you just went one time and took the test.
And dude, I'm just telling you, you're good at memorizing shit. You're
Yep.
good at listening and memorizing and recall.
Because I know a lot of really smart, dumb people.
A lot. That's part of getting older.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. Once you encounter those people and you've actually hired them
Yes.
and they're worthless.
Yes.
And some people
But I
who
have
went to
a
the military
degree.
are worthless. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Once you live long enough, you see the worst of everybody and the best of everybody.
It all comes down to everybody's an individual that makes decisions. Everything is a decision, and that's the problem with, in general, what we're talking about today, as far as like all this cancel culture, and you can't say what you want to say, or you're scared that it might offend somebody, and all this kind of stuff. Is we're not judged on being individuals anymore. We're arbitrary groups that they want to throw us in and say the other group's bad. We got to get them either gone, they're canceled, or we got to get them thinking like we do. And that's just not human nature. Everybody's an individual with their own ambition and goals, and honestly, self-care first and all that kind of thing. That's human nature, and people want to change that, and you'll never change that. It's like going out into nature with a knife and nothing else and expecting to win that battle.
Right.
You're not going to beat nature, and that's what we are. We're individuals, and if people would simply look at other people as individuals instead of a group, or because you look a certain way, or you have a certain God, or whatever it may be. If you stop putting people into arbitrary boxes and start treating people as individuals, that's how these things end. And then you can really get down and talk to these people, because you no longer see them as the enemy, and solve actual problems.
That's right.
That's how you do it. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's easy concept to grasp. But I mean, anyway, I'm done.
Hey.
I'm just,
Dude, I
it's
know.
been all over the place.
It
but-
is all over the place. But I have changed a tire for somebody with 2 bachelor's degrees.
oh yes, absolutely.
You know, and then my dad has a 9th grade education, and he has fixed a car that I've worked on for 3 weeks. He's fixed it in 10 minutes.
Right.
And I'm way more educated than him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's just one example. I get so frustrated because there's something about how people attach value to other people's opinions based on, like you said, arbitrary things.
Look, I don't know. We went all over the place with this podcast, but we just had to start talking about some of this that we have been just hesitant to talk about because, like I said, it don't really come into play so much when we're talking about a true crime show or we're redoing Game of Thrones. We got 2 more of those to do, by the way. I know people are asking.
Right.
But when we talk, the real world we do experience it. We do know what's going on in the real world. And when you have this weird, odd fear that I've never had in my life about saying something just because it might piss a group of people off that I feel like will hate me or something or judge me because I have an opinion about something that may not fit theirs exactly is ridiculous to me.
I agree.
And I'm tired of fucking worrying about what I say. It's not that I want to come say a bunch of things. It's just when we're talking about something, you got to really, oh shit, can I say that on YouTube because either YouTube or the people listening or, it will get me banned. Or those things are just the reality of today's world, and it's ridiculous.
Like, dude, did you know they're taking the Jerry Richardson statue down
I heard
because of something that he did something inappropriate with somebody a long time ago?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It just has to be allegedly. There's no more due process either.
But he founded the freaking
team,
yeah,
and the players
he deserves a statue.
The players and all loved him.
Like, dude, really?
That's what I mean. There's no more due process. Somebody just says something, and that person is, not entirely. It depends on what political persuasion you are, I think.
Don't know the whole story on that, but I just heard that the other day.
Yeah.
Because I know all this stuff's going on with the statues, and when I heard
Right.
somebody say something about Jerry Richardson, I was like, what? 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 He wasn't around there.
He was one of the most beloved NFL owners that there ever been because he was a
an NFL player, yeah.
And people he understood what they're going through, and he cared. Like he loved these dudes on a personal level and their families.
Yeah,
and he was always just talked. He was top notch in each player's eyes. It's part of the family,
right?
So it's just mind boggling because hey. Maybe he I don't know. He said something inappropriate. I don't know the story either entirely.
Right.
But and that's what other thing that bothers me is I don't care anymore.
Right.
Like I used to would what is that all about? But now I know it's all just bullshit.
Yeah.
I just do.
Like you could pull anything out of anybody's past.
Yeah.
Anything. Sam Mills,
yeah.
I mean, he was like a freaking saint, right?
Yes.
But if somebody pulled something out, he wrote this letter to somebody back in the day. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, can it just be the statue of a dude who did something inappropriate? Can't that be a learning moment for a parent to say, hey, he's the founder of the team, but he did some bad shit too. I mean, can't you just leave the statue up and talk shit about it?
Right, because it didn't offend anybody 2 weeks ago.
It's weird, man.
It didn't offend anybody when they put it up, or the last, however many years it's been since it's been up. It was just yesterday. It started offending people for some reason. Because there's people sitting there going through things online, not even in their own cities, I'm sure. Just, hey, this is bad. Hey, while we're at it, this is bad. That's all that's happening. That's all that's happening. So I don't know. It's
you got me thinking about like Burger King. That King could be offensive someday.
It is already.
Dairy Queen. You know, it's like, come on now. Once
that's what
the dust will never settle.
No, it never will. There's no end in sight. There's not.
Everything's gonna be generic.
That's the goal. Equal outcomes. Everybody's in the same great house, driving the same little electric car.
Think about.
That's the goal.
People are gonna be. Those meetings when you go in there and you come up and say, "Oh, what logos have you come up with today?" What? Nothing. No. Just put our name on there and careful what font you use.
That's right. We don't want to. The font can't be too thick.
Right.
You might
accidentally use some ancient Egyptian freaking symbol that's horrible.
Right.
Gosh, man, where are we heading?
There's no end in sight, man.
Every logo is going to be a smiley face,
and somehow that'll be wrong.
Yeah, it will, a marshmallow, the least offensive thing.
A yellow smiley face would be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm telling you because it's yellow.
That's right. Exactly. Some
arbitrary bullshit that people make up.
The guy who made up the freaking smiley face hated Asian people.
I'm sure. I mean, that's what's happening. It sounds retarded, but I can't say retarded. I can't say retarded. I mean, it sounds stupid, but You can't say that either.
know.
Okay, we're canceled.
I know.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, we can't say retard dough anymore in the pizza industry.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Because it means stop.
Right. Yep. Slow down.
This whole thing's a face palm. This whole that. I mean, what do we do? What can we say? Thanks for watching.
That's a fire.
We hope we're here next week.
That's fire retardant. You can't even say that. I don't know, man. What are we gonna do?
Changing the language, changing definitions, changing history, erasing history, not learning from. I don't know. What's happening.
And
it's bizarre
stuff
world.
that nobody wants to think about. Seriously, I don't know how people have time.
No,
Like I got bills to pay and shit.
that's right.
You know,
That's what I'm saying.
give my mind a break.
And
for
in
a
our
while.
little town here, I've been out and I've seen everybody of every race and color just going about their day, saying hello, how are you, doing their jobs, going to
Yes.
work, and there's nothing different here.
No. And as far as there's no like racial
No,
divide. I have the most awesome interactions on a daily basis here in our neck of the woods.
yeah, not saying it don't happen.
Yeah,
Just
God
saying
forbid
it's just the reality
Yeah.
that we experience.
Right. My experience is people have been really nice, and I'm sorry that their niceness offends some people.
No.
They want them to be at my throat or something. I don't know.
I
but
guess.
no, everything's going really good right now. And you know what? Tomorrow it could change. Tomorrow I could get COVID.
Right.
Tomorrow I could get robbed because I am a pizza guy, and it does happen. You know? And I hope nobody is wishing it on me. You know, somebody might have made a voodoo doll for me, and they're coughing on it right now because they want me to get COVID so bad because
just
I've
to
made
be
that post.
just to be right.
Yeah.
Just to win some arbitrary argument.
Or they're hoping that my kids get it or something. I mean, that's how venomous some of the shit
Oh yeah,
is,
no
man.
doubt. Just so they
Just
can sit
because
back,
I said, you know what, I haven't seen anybody coughing.
so they can sit back at their keyboard, go,
Yeah.
and that's really all it is. It's some weird self gratification thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's very
dude.
odd. Anyway, this camera's probably cut off.
Oh, it probably is. That's right.
That's probably cut off. So
damn.
anyway, if so, we'll wrap it up. Maybe we'll come back next week with something happy and fun.
I hope so.
But so anyway, yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments, please. You know,
I'm terrified.
rip us one, or let us know. You know, if do you want us to continue to be frank like this? I mean, we've always been frank about what we're talking about, but obviously this is a different subject.
Right.
It's somehow sensitive now. So anyway, I guess we'll let it. We don't have the damn helium. Fade to black.